powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, please consider becoming a member of UP Nation. All you got to do is hit that membership button. Lots of perks in terms of being a member of UP Nation. Also, anyone that signs up for a UP membership will be automatically entered to win a Minnesota Vikings official Winter Warrior jersey. So please consider becoming a member. Minnesota Vikings, a lot of news and rumblings around quarterback, what they're going to do at quarterback. And I've actually been intrigued by the types of quarterbacks that KOC likes. So this is part of a What If Wednesday. I know it's Thursday, but it's one day late. We're filming this thing on Wednesday, but we aren't able to get it up until Thursday. But my What If Wednesday is, what if the Atlanta Falcons hadn't jumped the Minnesota Vikings and took Michael Penick Jr.? Would JJ McCarthy still have been the pick there? There's been rumors swirling around the whole time that the Minnesota Vikings were going to take Michael Penick Jr. And I'm actually intrigued by that, because you're never going to get the Vikings to admit now that they have JJ McCarthy, who's our future franchise quarterback. They're never going to admit that they were going to take Michael Penick Jr. Like, why would they do that? But it sounds like KOC was really intrigued with Michael Penick Jr. So this becomes a domino effect. You would have Michael Penick Jr. as possible Viking, and JJ McCarthy probably would have ended up with Denver, it sounds like. It sounds like Sean Payton coveted JJ McCarthy more than Bo Nix, and I think Bo Nix didn't have a bad rookie campaign. Obviously, JJ McCarthy had the meniscus repair that he had to do, so he missed the majority of his rookie season, missed getting a lot of reps. But it would have been really interesting to see, because the Minnesota Vikings are they're head over heels with JJ McCarthy. They were head over heels with JJ McCarthy to draft him at the spot that they drafted. But were they head over heels for JJ McCarthy to pick him ahead of Michael Penick Jr.? Obviously, Michael Penick Jr., you saw his prowess in college at Washington. Really, really good quarterback. I think the only thing about Michael Penick Jr. was his injury history. He's got some bad knees. It's the only thing really that I heard about him. He's really, really accurate with the short game, really accurate with the intermediate game, and has the arm to be able to throw the long ball. JJ McCarthy was pretty much looked at as a quarterback that was in a running system at Michigan. Really smart, cerebral quarterback, able to play the short game, the intermediate game. Doesn't have a cannon of an arm, but his arm is strong enough to be able to get the ball downfield. And thus, the Minnesota Vikings drafted JJ McCarthy. It just really intrigues me, because there was also rumblings that KOC was interested in Anthony Richardson for the Colts, a guy that was really, really raw. I mean, there were rumors going around that the Minnesota Vikings were interested in trading up to be able to get Richardson. They couldn't do it. It didn't happen. But when I look at the style of quarterback that Richardson is compared to what Kirk Cousins was, compared to what JJ McCarthy is, compared to what Michael Penix is, Anthony Richardson is kind of the outlier. So it makes me wonder and question, what type of quarterbacks, honestly, does KOC covet? What type of quarterbacks does KOC covet? All of these guys are really, really different. You know, when you look at someone like a Kirk Cousins, he's a pretty cerebral quarterback. He's a guy that's really conservative and doesn't like to take a lot of chances, doesn't like to really throw the ball down the field. Think he really overthinks pretty much every possession. I mean, you saw his reaction during the Netflix. I always go back to the Netflix documentary because it gives you a little peek behind the curtain at Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins will let mistakes that he made during games really beat him up for a long time. And he would even discuss that with his sports psychologist that he had on hand. I mean, so it really gave you an idea of why Kirk Cousins was kind of checked down Charlie, why he made a lot of the conservative decisions that he made. He just didn't want to mess up. And I think the best quarterbacks in the league are quarterbacks that are not afraid to take chances. And when they make those mistakes, they're moving on to the next play. I didn't see that a whole lot with Kirk Cousins. Man, and then you look at they bring in a guy like Sam Darnold. I don't know if you would call Sam Darnold a very cerebral quarterback, but he's someone that was very coachable. You know, people look at him as more of a cyborg robot type where you have to program him every play and really tell him where to go with the ball. Wasn't the type of guy that could really think on his own, ad lib whatsoever. At times, you really had to educate him on the looks that he was going to get during games. And when some of those things broke down, he tended to hold the ball a little bit too long. That was Sam Darnold. But if you look at the comparison between Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins, they are completely two different type of quarterbacks. And then you throw Michael Penick in there, and these are rumors, guys that the Minnesota Vikings were really, really interested in getting or ended up on the team. Michael Penick Jr. is completely different than the both of those guys. Rookie, had some injury issues, lefty, but really accurate on all three levels. Long ball, intermediate, short game. I think the Atlanta Falcons, if he can hold up and be durable, I think the Atlanta Falcons has a guy that's going to be their franchise quarterback for years. He's got the mentality, he's got the smarts, he's got the tools. Can he keep those knees injury-free is going to be the thing. And I think sometimes scouts and GMs can overthink some of those things, but it's a viable situation for the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to have to watch his injury history. But again, he's different than all the quarterbacks that we previously mentioned. I'm intrigued about the Anthony Richardson thing because coming out of Florida, everyone was saying that he's really raw, really couldn't throw the ball accurately, but was one of the best athletes at quarterback that you could find coming out of the draft in a long time. Got hot a little bit his rookie year with the Colts. Got injured, so he lost a year, but came back this year, played so bad that he got benched. They went to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco wasn't the guy that you saw in Cleveland. He got benched, and then they came back with Richardson again at the end. And who knows where the Colts sit with Anthony Richardson. But I think when you look at his style of play and you hear the rumors about the Vikings possibly moving up for Anthony Richardson, I don't understand because he was supremely raw. Great athlete, supremely raw. And I'm not saying going either way with any of these quarterbacks is a wrong decision. But the question is, what type of quarterback does KOC like? What is the style? Is it really JJ McCarthy? That's why I ask, what would have happened if the Atlanta Falcons would not have jumped the Vikings to get Michael Penix Jr.? Who would have been the draft pick? Are the Minnesota Vikings really happy with JJ McCarthy? Yes. Yes. But did they settle for JJ McCarthy? And again, you're never going to get a straight answer from the Minnesota Vikings now. JJ McCarthy is in the covenant. He is coveted by the Minnesota Vikings. I think everyone in the organization, all the fans, are really, really happy with the pick. I think everybody wants him to get on the field as soon as possible and come back and be 100% healthy off this meniscus repair. But it's really intriguing to wonder, and this is why we have What If Wednesdays. We're not throwing shade on JJ McCarthy or saying that we want Michael Penix Jr. I'm just really intrigued at what would have happened if the Minnesota Vikings had not gotten jumped by the Atlanta Falcons. It's just one of those things that we're never going to know, UP Nation. It's one of these things that we can only speculate about. Would the Minnesota Vikings have gone with Michael Penix Jr.? Or would they have drafted JJ McCarthy regardless? Very intriguing, interesting What If Wednesday. What do you think, UP Nation? What do you think, Minnesota Vikings fans? Put it in the comments. I am interested in hearing your thoughts. Who would have been drafted and why do you think they would have been drafted? I'm not sure about this one. I like where we are, though, with JJ McCarthy. I think he's a stud. And I think he's going to be straight box office for the Minnesota Vikings. Sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. And I think this is the case with the Minnesota Vikings. I love JJ McCarthy. But what would have happened on draft night if the Atlanta Falcons had never moved up? Interesting topic, interesting thing to think about. This is why we have What If Wednesday. Put your thoughts in the comments. Please hit that like and subscribe button and consider becoming a member. We will see ya when we see ya, UP Nation.